Hi, I'm Phil Arnold. I'm the IT manager for General Optical, and I've been involved with the Optomate Online project for the last 4 years, and I've been involved with Optomate itself for the last 18 years. I'm going to give you a quick run through today on how the Optomate Online order screen works through to the GenOp lab. I've got a patient screen open at the moment, and up the middle at the top here I'm going to go to Spec Job, and we've set it so that it will ask whether I want to do an order to another lab or an order that's actually going to go direct to GenOp. Up the top here, the first thing the user would select is whether they want us to supply and fit the whole job, or perhaps maybe they want lenses only. There are other options on the list that they can choose. It could be that they're going to send in a trace to us, or it might be they want lenses uncut. So there's a few options here. For today's demonstration, I'm just going to use the first option, which is supply and fit, give me a full pair of specs. In this panel here, I'll scan the frame in just a second. You'll notice as we go through that there will be fields highlighted in yellow. They are the fields that we haven't completed yet that are compulsory, and you'll see that happen as we go. Right now I'll pick up my barcode scanner and scan in trusty Nike Sunny here, and the details are showing up there. You'll notice at the moment that it's assumed that there's no other things required on this screen except over here the required by date. However, that's going to be populated automatically for us in a little while when we choose the type of lens. Once we choose a certain lens, it'll calculate how many days it normally would take to deliver that, and that will pre-fill that box in for us. On our second tab just here to the right is a lenses tab. This is where the user would choose either to pick a package lens if there was available, a package with this particular frame or sunglass, or whether they would choose to move away from the packages, have any type of lens that they require that's available from our lab. On the list of drop downs here, this does have a few choices for this particular sunglass. Today I'm just going to use the non-package selection down here to allow me to pick outside the standard range. In the lenses selection box here, you'll notice it's now stepping me to the next thing that I'm required to fill in, and it's going to continue to do that as I choose a selection. It's then going to flow me through to say, well, what about this, what about that next. So under lenses, if I click on my search button just here, at the top here the users would either type in a code or a description that they're looking for. My example today is going to be a GenOp Progressive, so I'm just going to choose GENP and it's going to take me to those. I do have a tick box here that allows me to select just my favorites, so I could actually trim that list to just the things that I want to get to quickly. I'm going to select this hardcoat diamond, I think, for this example. It's now suggested over the right hand side that I need to complete heights, so I'm going to put in, let's say, heights of 19 into there for this example. It's also selected that there's a choice of corridor lengths for me to pick from. It has a rule in the background where it will check and to make sure it's physically possible. For example, if I chose a corridor length of 18 or of 20, it's going to say that that's actually not possible for this height of 19. So let me select that, for example, 20, and if I was to save this order, it will actually come up saying that it's too long. So it's got some smarts built into the background to protect it there, make sure the data getting through to us is legitimate. I'm going to select 16 for the moment. Just below that there is an option here to choose base curve. So if I want to be particular and nominate a base curve, I can do so. In this case I'm going to perhaps select 6. I could leave it as default, and the lab will work out the best base curve for the lens for the script. On the right hand side here you'll see my script is sitting here, and I've got a plus 075 minus 075 in the right and a plus 075 minus 350 in the left with an add of 2. So nothing too strange about that. I've got some prisms sitting down the bottom here. That's not going to make any difference for this order. If I go back to the first page here under frame and sunglass, because I chose a lens that requires the extra detail, the extra content, it's now actually saying, hey, I need to have some entries in here. So perhaps for my back vertex distance I might have measured that it's going to be 14. Perhaps I might have measured for the panto that it's going to be 8, and a wrap perhaps of let's say 7. and I'll go back to my lenses detail just to make sure everything is completed here. If I wanted to add something extra onto this, perhaps polished edges or some faceting or something like that, there's some choices for us to be able to do that. I also have the option to put tints on if I wanted to. Perhaps I might have said that this is actually going to be a pair of sunnies, and let's say it was 85, then I can choose some detail there. I'm actually going to leave that empty just for now. We do also have a field down here where I can put in some comments to the lab. So I might say that it's got to be made with some safety thickness, or perhaps thin as possible. And there's also the ability for the practice to make their own comments down the bottom, which might be just something to do with perhaps the job or the delivery of that job. Perhaps I want to record something that's not going to the lab. I just want to record it on screen about this job. If this order was ready to go and I'm satisfied that everything's done, then I'll click the Save button down the bottom here, and Optomate will recognize that everything is completed, it's ready to be sent, and it will ask me, would I like to send the order now? If there was anything not done, not completed, then it would actually come back and say that it's not ready to go. And I would simply hit the Yes button, and away it would send that order. And it's come back saying that the order has been successfully sent. The next step that the practice would normally go through would be that they would actually raise an account for that. So at the top here, this is for the patient to pay. So we'd hit this button here for it to calculate what does the patient actually owe. So we've got our frame, we've got our lenses information here, and that's coming to a total of $511.60. You can see down the bottom right hand corner here. They can, if they wanted to, perhaps provide a discount. Maybe they decided they were going to give them a 10% discount on the frame, then they will do so there. That's come to an unusual figure, so perhaps I might have said, look, we'll just give you $22 off to make it nice and neat, perhaps something like that. And then they're set to go, and they would save that, and the patient then would potentially pay for the item. We do have the ability for Optomate to track what we call display stock, and this item, because Genop is providing this frame and sunglass complete, therefore this frame is technically not leaving the shop, and this question on screen comes up to identify that the item is actually staying, or if it was perhaps in an instance where they were the item was leaving the shop, perhaps it was being fitted by another lab, or the patient was taking it on the spot, then they can actually nominate away from the normal. But at the moment it's set to say, hey, don't deplete the quantity on hand, leave it on the shelf, and that way our stock on hands doesn't get screwed up on the shelf. The final step would be to actually take the payment from the patient. So they would actually say, yes, I'd like to get maybe a deposit, or perhaps pay for the whole amount, and they would put the details through, and then they would save that, and we're done. And they can of course do a part payment if there's only a deposit being done on that. Okay.